It's been a long time since I last recorded for YouTube and for the podcast. I Life has been happening and it's been keeping me quite occupied. But that's not even an excuse or a reason. I've been thinking a lot about recording, and the more I think about it, the bigger it seemed, the harder it became to do. And over the past 2 months, I found myself facing this giant of my own expectations because I kept wanting to do this. I kept expecting myself to do it, that it grew into this image of perfection where every little detail has to be exceedingly good to an impossible standard. But even that was not the one thing holding me back. Perfection is nothing new to me, and I was able to, start a podcast and do a YouTube with that still there. It isn't the sole perpetrator in this incident. I realized that something is off, and I tried to figure it out. I'm still struggling with it. But in my attempts to fix it, I'll tell you what I did. I got more equipment for the channel, both the YouTube channel and the podcast. Some of the equipment hasn't arrived yet because some problem happened with the manufacturer. I ordered a microphone that I can take out with me, so I'll be able to produce audio quality equal to this anywhere I go. Even if there's wind, even if there's noise around me. So that was an attempt to facilitate my capacity to host this podcast and produce more frequently what I do here. The other thing that's been stopping me, and I'll admit to this, I always wanted the subjects I talk about to be perfected to the point. No slurs, no ums or awkward breaks, which can be fixed in post-edit, it's fine. But still, I did not allow myself any room for error, any room for a human to be human, to say things that may not have an accurate point that will change someone's life maybe, or add exceptional value. And now that's something adamant. It's good to aim for that. Quantity in this situation is important. It's not just quality. You cannot just produce one perfect video and post one of those every 3 months. Then no one's gonna find that. And even those few people who support my work and listen to me, they're gonna forget about it if it's not frequent enough. And here's an interesting story. There's a professor who told his students that he's gonna split them into 2 groups, and those are photography students. The first group will be graded based on how many photos they produce, while the second group will be graded based on just one photo that they have to pick. So that's the quality group, and this is the quantity group. What's interesting is that all the exceptionally good photos were taken by the group that did the quantity photos. Basically, and the point of this example is, when you're told to do quantity work and keep producing, you learn as you work. You grow better as you work, and out of 100 attempts, you will have a few of them that are exceptionally good. And if you just obsess over doing just one perfect product, you'll be too afraid to attempt to make mistakes, too afraid to create something that may have flaws, might have mistakes, but that's the thing. You cannot reach something so exceptional if you don't try enough, if you don't learn from the many attempts that you do. Great is the enemy of good, or perfect is the enemy of good. So, moving on. Doing kindness and being a good person, yet feeling guilty. Now, I'm not sure how common that is. Tell me in the comments below if you're someone who does good and tries to help others, be a good person, be a good family member, be a good friend, yet still wrestle with the feeling of guilt, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're not, something feels off, you feel bad, you feel like you're not a good person. Tell me your experience, write it down, let's talk in the comments on YouTube. If you're listening through the podcast, go check out the YouTube channel, and I'd love to hear from you too. Now, it isn't news to me that you can feel guilty even though you're not guilty of anything, and the opposite is true. You can be guilty and feel no guilt at all, but that's the thing. You do good, you act right, and still that feeling of guilt is there. And it got me wondering why. One of the possible reasons could be that you have an unhealthy environment. And when I say environment, I don't necessarily mean your immediate vicinity, like where you live, your family, or your friends. That's not necessarily the only environment you have. Environment is anything you interact with, anything that communicates with you. It could be your own self, your own thoughts, that's part of your environment in a way. It could be social media, it could be work, it could be people in general that are surrounding you. And not just family, friends. It could be people around you, or it could be online. So interactions really makes it difficult to gauge your own actions and your own deeds. One example I can think of, someone who does good and they take care of others and they're acting as right as they can act, yet it's solitary for them. No one acknowledges what they do, no one sees it. Now, that's all fine and good, because you don't do kindness and help others for recognition. But the point is, you forget to gauge yourself. You forget the value of what you do. It happens. And then maybe someone sees a tiny fraction of you and says something mean to you, or not say something mean to you, rather judges you harshly. Judges you harshly based on their miniature knowledge of you, because they don't know who you are. They just saw you for a few seconds, or saw a tiny fraction that is about you, and they just thought, hey, this person is a jerk, or this person looks pretentious, or this person looks shallow. And it reaches you. You hear them say that, or you interact with them and it's negative. Now, out of all that lack of communication that you don't have any communication in regards to the good in you, that negative interaction, it builds up a big portion of the interaction that you have. I'm not talking about you being in solitary, not communicating with people whatsoever. I'm talking about being in a community that does not connect with you. Because here's the thing, you can be around people and not really connect. Like, all your conversations are on a shallow depth. They're like, the conversation are like, you're there, I'm here, that's fine. So what did you do today? Nothing. What did you do today? Just went to work or studied, and that's it. So there is no connection. And I'm not talking, hey, let's communicate about the universe and the meaning of life and what does it mean that we are here. No, not that kind of depth, but the kind of connection where you feel your souls connect. You're able to talk with them the way you talk with an intimate person, the way you talk to your parents or your siblings or your significant other. And you're like, hey, I really feel this way. I'm not, yeah, I'm okay. I'm not, yeah, it's fine. No, this is how I feel. I feel uncertain. I feel burned out. I feel unseen and unheard. And it doesn't always have to be complaints. You can just have someone who is aware of what you're doing and what you're thinking. That's it. And that healthy communication, it filters and it moves and it processes these emotions in a healthy way. And it gets you out of that rut because you have a feedback loop that makes you feel recognized and felt. So that in itself, it eliminates the guilt that came out of nowhere. It seeped into your soul, even though you haven't done anything to feel guilty about. I think that's one of the reasons you would feel guilty, even though you do kindness and you take care of others. It's quite common. I think it's common that someone would act right, do what they know to the best of their capacity is a good thing, yet feel burdened by feelings of guilt, feelings of an unseen burden. So I've been meaning to talk about honesty and lying. I've been meaning to talk about how it feels to connect with others, to make friends, and the value of family. And there are a lot of things that I've been meaning to talk about. But I don't want to make this episode one dense topic filled with all of those things. And I'm certain I wouldn't even give them justice. I'll just make this episode like a comeback. Hopefully I don't just disappear again and come back three months from now. Although it is not a good strategy to talk about the future when you're uncertain of it. Not that you can ever be certain of the future. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for listening and watching, and I'll talk to you next time.